He was uncomfortable coming down the stairs because I held the door open for him.
She's so nice right now. I'm just like, I don't get this that often. So I'm like, oh my gosh, what is this? So now I'm nervous. She should have just walked up behind me and slapped me in the back of the head.
Is happening soon.
Yeah. Should just smack me in the back of the head and say, let's go. I'm like, oh, okay.
All right. Welcome to In the Act. This is a radio program on process and the creative life. Creativity does not just start and stop with artists. We all make aesthetic or guiding decisions. And our aim is to talk through some of the processes and investigate how we choose to express ourselves and live creatively. We are connecting with people about their lives, and that's the subject of our show. Broadcasting from Mead Public Library in Sheboygan, Wisconsin on Mead Community Radio, I am Erica Hunsinger, and this is In the Act. And today's guest on In the Act is Santino Laster.
Hey, hey, hey. How you guys doing today?
Pretty good. How are you doing?
I am good. Very good.
Excellent. Wanted to have you on to talk about your life. We work together, so I know a little bit about you. Mm-hmm. And I know that through your life, you've made decisions on where you want to be, where you want to go, what guides you. And through those professional decisions, you also have these underlying motivations, creative motivations as I see them, which is like you talk about your cooking, mm-hmm. and you talk about your singing and sharing about that. And you talk about community service. Mm-hmm. And those are some of your guiding focuses. And I was just wondering if you would share a little bit about yourself to open up.
Yeah. I originally came to Sheboygan back in 1999 for college. I won't give a whole in-depth, but did my 4 years there, played football, went overseas, played ball, also tried out.
Sorry, can we back up? You went overseas to play ball?
Yes.
What?
Yeah.
Can you talk about that for a sec?
Sure. I went overseas.
I've never heard of that before, So
we went over to Europe to play football. Yes, American football, not soccer. Thank you. American football. It was a great experience, great eye-opener. It was just that sense of accomplishment of coming from a large family back in Detroit, not really having, not say goals, but my main goal was to graduate high school.
Yeah.
That was pretty much my only focus because I was told over and over that you won't make it. You're going to end up on the streets. So having my mom, and it was just like a big celebration at my graduation because the biggest milestone in my life. And so to continue to grow throughout my life and to have these opportunities helped me become the man that I am today and to believe in myself. Otherwise, I wouldn't have. Yeah. So that was the great part of my life, and just being able to continue to grow and have my mom not know what the heck is going on, but feed love into me and inspiration. And she'd come to games like, baby, that was so good. I'm like, Mom, we lost. She's like, oh, but you look good. She's like, I'm like, Mom, we lost. Like, she doesn't get it. But now that I look back in hindsight, it's like she was there supporting her baby.
Yes.
And that was all that was there. She didn't know what the heck was going on, but just there for that support, which I didn't really have until later in life because I didn't know how hard she had to work. So she worked 2 to 3 jobs at times to provide for our family. We had a large family. And now that I look back, I kind of took it for granted because you see others around you with things and it's like, well, I want that, but they didn't have the circumstances that we had.
Absolutely. Right.
So then I went to Lakeland, got my 4-year degree, was in law enforcement for some time, also taught down in Milwaukee, did private security as well. I also worked at Freighted for the security department, mentored at-risk youth here in Sheboygan. Excuse me. The list goes on. I guess I have a servant's heart.
Yeah.
And I love to give back because that's what inspired me. My high school football coach caught me in the hallways, skipping class. Was like, what are you doing? And he's like, I talk about football all the time. He's like, if you're that good, why don't you try out? And I says, okay. He's like, and he keeps catching me. He's like, no, you're not. He's like, you ain't strong enough. He's like, you don't have it. I'm like, what? He knew how to encourage me to come out. And once I hit that football field, I never turned around.
Wow.
So
you hit the nail on the head with being able to fulfill the goals or dreams or hopes that were just tiny sparks, right? Mm-hmm. You can't do it alone. And
right.
Talking about your mom and the love and support and the connection of community, like your teacher is such a driving force then for making those things happen, to realize self, really.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I mean, just that glimmer of hope, someone believing in you. I mean, granted, I realized later in life why my father left, and him and I built the relationship up after that. I mean, him and my mom was always best friends, even though they weren't together.
Wow.
He would come and he took care of my older siblings, and I'm not going to get into the situation of why he left, but even to the day my dad died first, him and my mom were best friends. They both were married to other people. You couldn't come between them. Their husband and wives understood that they have a bond, and these kids are their bond. And
right.
You couldn't come between any of us.
Wow.
And that was huge. And I'm like, my dad was here for everybody else but me. So, like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And then later down the road, when I got older, I think it was high school, maybe even college, I realized why. And I was like, oh, okay. But they remain best friends. I'm like, how can you have this relationship and not be together? Like, you guys are like the best,
right?
But you're not together. And that's what was heartbreaking to me, because I'm like, he comes in, he had stayed for a few days because he was a truck driver. If he had a load into Detroit to deliver, he had come down, and I've even been on the road with him, and he had come and hang out, and like everybody loved him. My grandparents loved him. Everybody loved him.
Wow.
But he wasn't always there, and that's something that I vow with my sons, to always be there despite whatever the circumstances is or are.
Right.
And those are my motivators now in life. People's like, oh, you're going to do this? I don't do what I do for me anymore. I have those 3 boys to worry about and make sure their lives. Now I have to set myself aside to make sure that they can persevere through life and have uninterrupted love from me and their mom.
Wow. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
And I think how your parents wove together what family meant to them, and specifically for your family, is living a creative life. They had to be very flexible and creative and take risks to create the sort of bond that they had with each other and with your family, with the family. So thank you for sharing that personal story with us.
You're welcome. I didn't think I would.
Appreciate it. You're
just very good at what you do, so I'll give you that one.
Santino.
I'm being honest. I did not think about talking about that.
Wow. I was wondering, from those experiences and from your home life, where did song come?
Well, obviously in the Black culture, we love music, right?
Yeah.
John and I, he's been playing a lot of music that has been touching my soul as well, just the old school.
Like what?
R&B. There's some, I can't, since I've gotten older, I learned to love more. So if it has a good beat to it, I'm on it. Like, I'm loving it. Sometimes I don't even listen to the words.
Sure.
I'm just with it.
Yeah.
So like the old school R&B, like the Drifters, the Spinners. My favorite group is the Temptations.
Oh, yeah.
Sam Cooke. I mean, all of these artists, Aretha Franklin, so on and so on.
And so many of them from Detroit, right?
Yes, that's why.
Okay.
So when you come from Detroit, I never really went downtown as a kid.
Yeah.
Because when you're in the city, you kind of like in your little barrel, I would say. It's like everybody's trying to pull you down, crab in a barrel type of atmosphere. Wow. You don't really go downtown unless you had that kind of status. And I didn't get to that point until I got into high school of traveling outside of my area, because you have turfs, right?
Yeah.
And once you cross over, they know you from, like I was from Finkel and Hubble. Then you got the Linwood gang, or you have the Charter Boys over here, and then you have this group. And it's like, once you start to go into these territories, it gets a little hard because they know you're not from there. I mean, then they're going to check you. And so it gets a little hard. And then you get to the downtown area. But no, having Motown downtown, and I mean, my mom, we used to drive around, and just like the taste of Detroit. So you have like soul food, African, Latino, whatever it might be. You just go downtown and you have those. And it was just like a treat to go down there.
Oh, yeah.
And to always hear you can walk down the street and just hear different music playing. And then you're always in the moment.
Gotcha.
So I really started singing in church, though.
Yeah.
So we have a Southern Baptist church, and just the music is going, and it's like it just takes over you. And I've just been singing since I was a kid, I guess.
Wow. What a rich history. Mm-hmm. And perseverance to realize those barriers, real physical barriers of people, and that tribalism, right, that happens. Mm-hmm. And then so to safety for yourself, and also then exploration and trying to mitigate those things. But like walking down the street and listening to all different types of music, and did you know at the time about like the Temptations and everything? Like, were you listening to those as you're?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And also gospel music.
Okay.
My grandma always listened to the gospel, but my stepdad, Pops, when he was cooking, I mean, just music blaring of the old school. He's in the kitchen dancing, cutting up stuff. I'm like, okay.
Fabulous.
So I get in there and I do the same thing. And that history also, those traditions today when I'm cooking, I got the music blaring and I'm in there. The boys are out there like, okay.
Excellent.
But they don't get down with our music too much. But it's just the joy of being able to listen. Even like my wife, when we're in the shower, it's always the music. We're playing the music. So when we're doing the deck, playing the music. Whatever it is, yard work, had our headphones on, playing the music.
Right.
I think the music helped us cope with certain things growing up and helped us evolve because there was a purpose behind it. And I still don't know how to put my finger on it.
Yeah.
But it was something about the music that transformed you into having a sense of awareness, a sense of pride, and a sense of empowerment.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. And joy in that too.
Yes.
And there is something about collectively singing when you're talking about gospel, or if you're talking about singing along or grooving with a beat, whatever, that I don't know, I kind of lost my train of thought, but in terms of like singing together in church or singing together or listening to the same music, it provides this, and I don't know, I can't put my finger on it either. Maybe that's why I kind of tuned into that, because thinking back for myself, like being in church and listening to and singing the hymns, different hymns, the collective voice is a powerful thing. And whether it's like within a church or whether it's within another community or group, when you're tied together, voicing the same thing, mm-hmm. moving in the same sort of ways, engaged in that profound sense of sound, right, is this grounding and connection that is really important. I don't actually know how to talk about sound as much as I do about art, but that's such an art form that...
I was about to say, I think it's still art.
Oh, it totally is, yeah. I meant like visual art, sorry. Yeah.
And I think that music, when you have that collectiveness as you were speaking to, it alludes to, you have the vibrations, and like when you're singing, you feel everybody else with you. Yes. And it's not just you alone. It's like that collectiveness, and it's like, wow. And it hits your soul.
Yeah.
And especially when you're on tune and everybody's in unison.
Yeah.
It's like, don't want to say a sense of accomplishment, but kind of like along those lines, like we're doing it. We're here.
Yeah.
For the same goal, the unity in behind it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Harmony.
Yes.
Yeah. In its traditional and non-traditional sense, harmony of people together and harmony in sound.
Mm-hmm. And I love it.
Did you have a favorite song?
Well, My Girl, The Temptations' My Girl, is by far my favorite.
Nice.
Brian McKnight, Crazy Love. So I sung that to my wife when she came down the aisle.
What?
Yeah. So I sung Crazy Love.
That's so beautiful.
Oh, and I also sung that for American Idol. I forgot to tell you that too. That's a lot that I've conquering fears is what this is.
Wow.
So, but to be honest, I really don't have many favorites.
Yeah.
Some of them are gospel, but
Yeah.
if it has a good beat and like it takes me to a place of reflection,
Sure.
understanding, it just my kids sometimes like, Dad, why are you crying? Because I got the music playing in the car and it's just it takes over my soul and it's just like God is speaking to me, or this is speaking to me. Like I'm reliving. Like I came from here, not knowing if I was going to live.
Sure.
To driving in this car with you and hearing the music where it's inspiring or inspirational to say, hey, you made it.
Yeah.
And my kids don't get that because they don't have that life. And I tell them all the time, my mom made sure that I had better. Mm-hmm. Now I'm making sure you have better.
Right.
So when you're able to make sure your children are better, hopefully we can get away from the curse of not having financial means.
Yeah.
But nobody taught me how to manage a checkbook. I mean, I saw my grandma writing checks or my mom writing checks. They didn't tell me how to manage that ledger. They didn't tell me how to do it. They were just at the table writing bills, sometimes crying because it's like, where's this next thing coming from?
Yeah.
How I'm going to do this? And so I never really bothered them, but generational wealth.
Sure.
I want to make sure that my children has generational wealth. So what does that mean? I guess our vehicles paid off. Once they're paid off, that we don't try to keep buying new, just keep up with the Joneses, so that they can have a vehicle. Our house, we've been in it 22 years, have a short time left on it. They keep that. Our life insurances, I make sure I take out enough, not just to bury me, but that they can have financial means to live too. And that's one thing I didn't know growing up is you don't do for you. You do for those, the others that are coming up behind you, which is your children, grandchildren. So investments, there's a lot of things that we're doing to hopefully keep our kids debt free. Our oldest uses his Edvest account for education to go to school in Arizona. That's less money we have to pay because my mom's like, I don't have any money for you to go to school, baby. You have to do you.
Right.
She said, but don't come home. When she dropped me off, I was like, don't come home. But she was just telling me, finish. Don't give up. Like, don't let things come in between you. You have a focus. You stay there.
Yeah.
So not once that my mom paid a student loan because I know she never had the money.
Right.
But yeah, and once I continued to work and I was sending money home to help her pay her bills because people's like, well, your mom, why would you do that? I'm like, well, because she paved the way for me. Like 18 years of my life and more, she took care of me. My mom was a saint in the community, cooked for everybody. That's another thing she loved, and that's why I love to cook. Like just meals. I'm like, Mom, why you cook so much food? Like, but even though she didn't have, she still made a lot. And I never knew how much the neighborhood kids came in and ate. Yeah. You can have 15, 20 people eating at our house because she's feeding those that didn't have it either. Which was like, as I look back now, is why I always bring in a lot of food or feeding the homeless that I started here is because that's just my heart. My mom instilled that in me.
Right. Welcome back to In the Act. I'm Erica Hunsinger, and we're speaking with Santino Laster.
Hey.
The deep voice. So I wanted to kind of tune back into what we were just on the heels of with, which is talking about your mother and her cooking for the community and how that ties in with you and your work and what your, where your heart goes to and where you find your, that motivation, I guess. And I love that it stems from your mom and using those messages that she taught you to, for your, not only for your home life and your family life and your boys, but for your immediate others, in your circle, and then, with your job and people who you're, connecting with in the community. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about what kind of things that you enjoy, with cooking, particularly. Do you have particular meals or things that you like to change the recipe on or fine tune? Are there signature Santino things that are I know that you love grilling, and I know that you got a smoker?
Yes. So, yeah, I have a Pit Boss smoker. I'm not that much of a fan of it because it uses pellets. So it's refined, compressed wood.
Okay.
Some people say it's the dust because they grind it up. But I'm not a fan because it doesn't give me that woody taste.
Sure.
So I do have a side-by-side smoker as well. But it's just very, very labor-intensive to watch and monitor the logs and keeping the temperature down at a certain range.
So you put meat in, like a pork or beef
you
or
name it.
Whatever. Okay.
Racks of lamb, ribs, pork, beef, fish, chicken, the Impossible Burgers, so the meatless Impossible Burgers.
Awesome.
Brats, hot dogs, anything, you name it. I can cook cardboard and make it taste good.
I bet that's true.
So, but I don't really have signature dishes. My mouth is watering because now I'm thinking about
I know, actually, mine was too. I was like, I'm salivating a little careful.
So, so my mom, she was mainly a soul food lady.
Okay.
Cooked from the soul. So what we mean by soul food is that it's just so much love put into the meals. Not to say that other people don't have it, but it was just from back in the day. It was called soul food because of the origination of they can take anything and make it good.
Yeah.
Because that's how they had to survive. And it was just not just a piece of meat. They loved and nurtured that piece of meat, seasoned that thing really well, or even the vegetables. And it was just learning how to use the different herbs and all the other things to make it more comforting. So comfort food, soul food, however you want to look at it.
It's kind of hand in hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my mom made a mean dressing, which is just a cornbread dressing. Not the.
Is that a gravy? Is dressing a gravy?
No, it's the cornbread dressing. So, stuffing?
Yes.
But in the black culture, they call it dressing.
Oh, okay.
Don't ask me why. I still don't understand why. But I just know that when I got to college, I was like, what is that? They says, oh, that's dressing. I'm like, no, it's not.
Yeah, right. That's not dressing.
Right, because it's cubed up corn or cubed up cornbread, whatever they do. I'm like, no, that's not the way my mom made it.
Right.
So it was just different variations.
Cultural
so every cultural,
sure.
Every culture has a way of labeling or saying it. So
yeah.
So my mom made a mean dressing. She made bean fried chicken, cornbread.
Wait. Bean fried chicken? What is that?
Mean.
Oh, mean.
Sorry.
Mean.
My mouth is watering. I'm trying to talk. Not no
mean fried
fried
chicken. So how did she make her fried chicken then?
Basically seasoned it, flour.
Okay.
I'm not sure what kind of oil she used. I know we used a lot of lard.
Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, that's like, it's supposed to be really good.
It is.
Yeah. I'm not a great cook, but I would use it if otherwise.
So we really don't eat much fried food in our house.
Yeah.
Obviously because of the high blood pressure, the cholesterol in the Black community. And I inherited my mom and my dad because my dad had massive heart attacks. That's what killed him.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Thank you. And then my mom had multiple strokes, but her blood pressure was always high, which the strokes is what killed her 2 years ago.
I'm so sorry.
So it's like I'm always watching because it's the fried foods.
Right.
You need to have a balance, and everything that we normally eat is always healthy and comforting, but it's not always good for you. So my wife does a very good job of wanting to eat healthy.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So have you taken some of these like dishes? So I'm sorry, I think I interrupted you because I was interested about the fried chicken. But like the dressing and the fried chicken, and I'm not sure what else your mom made that was super special within that roll.
Potato salad.
Potato salad, yummy. Oh my gosh, yum. We all probably need breakfast right now.
Right.
But then were you able to take some of those recipes then and to transform them a little bit or think about how you could? No. Okay.
I'm going to shake my head to that one.
Yeah. Understandable.
She was phenomenal at what she did. And I have yet to try any of her dishes. I mean, I've fried chicken.
Sure.
I've never got to master her seasonings, or even when she fried fish. She doesn't measure anything.
It's all by...
It's all by touch.
Right.
By feel, by taste.
Right.
My wife doesn't really eat much pork, so my mom changed her dressing recipe from using pork in it to using turkey.
Wow. Cool.
But when my mom got real sick, she used to come up and stay with us so she can see her grandbabies. And she, I'm getting emotional, but my sister, I hear, took over the reins. And because my mom and my sister always lived together.
Okay.
And that she now cooks like mama.
Wow.
I have yet to taste it. I take that back. She made something, and I was just crying because it was like after my mom's death. I was just like, I'm like, this can't be. My sister never cooked. Never cooked.
Wow.
I mean, like, she couldn't cook.
Right.
I hope she doesn't hear this.
Yeah.
I love you, Iveta. But
right.
all of a sudden, when my mom got sick, she had to do it. Like, she had to start figuring it out.
Right.
So
and probably watched and learned and the taste and like all that process just kind of like filtered in somehow too.
Yes. And I don't think my sister measures either.
Wow.
Because my mom never wrote anything down.
Wow.
So I'm just hoping, so I'm going home for the 4th, for the Labor Day. I'm going to see if my sister will cook something now that you say that. I know we bring this up.
Yeah, she's on notice. She's on point then for that, for sure.
Well, Iveta, you're on notice. But to go back to it, no, none of her cooking transitioned to me on the grill.
Okay.
It's just hard. That's a hard feat to try to do. I mean,
oh, yeah.
So when I go home, my family wants me to grill.
Okay.
Because they're tired of eating dried out ribs and all this. And it's like, how do you get this? And I try to teach them when I come home. But my sister's like, well, when you come home, we get the meat. So I have to prep it and everything, to brine it and season it up. It takes about a day or two, depending on what we're having. And I just take my time that way. And I don't write this stuff down either. So if my kids want to learn how to grill, they're going to have to sit down and watch me and help me because I don't really write down much either. So
that's like passed along as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
It's all about feel. It's like, oh, I had this taste the last time on the meat. Let me just switch it up a little bit.
Sure.
Or, oh, I love garlic. So I'm going to add a little bit more garlic, maybe some parsley or some basil to lighten it up a little. So there's a lot of variations, but I got to hold it back.
What did you bring in? I can't remember what you brought in. But it was delicious. Yeah. Now we're just all like sitting here salivating about.
I think I've brought in brisket.
That's what it was.
I brought in pulled pork. I brought in pork tenderloin. I brought in chicken.
I don't think I got those.
Yeah. My kids are expensive. Their mom asked them one night, hey, Dad's going to cook something on a grill. What do you want? One kid says steak and shrimp. The other kid says rack of lamb and steak. She's like, your kids are bougie. I'm like, they have good taste.
They have really good taste.
Right? I never had that growing up.
Right.
I mean, it was special occasions when we had steak.
Absolutely.
And shrimp.
Sure.
So, and that's another thing. I just sit back and I look. I'm like, we're doing it. Like, we're actually doing it. And
transformation.
Yes.
Amazing transformation. And carrying the traditions and the love and all the strength from that with you.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. I'd really like to, and I might be putting you on the spot, getting back to your singing.
I knew you weren't going to let that one live down.
Because you just threw in there like, oh yeah, and blah, 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 American Idol, blah, blah, blah. Just like in this little run-on sentence that you had as like you were hiding this tiny little piece. Like, what are you talking about? So you had enough of a love of singing and song and all of that to try out for American Idol that what?
Yeah, I think it was more my wife encouraged me. I mean, I know she gives me a lot of encouragement. Sometimes she pushes me out my comfort zone, and sometimes I might not in the moment think of it as a positive, but
sure.
If she just allowed me to sit back and just skate through all the time, then I probably wouldn't be as far as I am today.
Sure.
So those gentle nudges, and I think she just signed me up. So
like coming to a town near you, American Idol, and she just was like, Santino Laster.
Yeah, and so it's all kind of running together. I don't know if
that's okay.
If we got married and drove to Chicago when it was at the United Center and then flew to our honeymoon.
Wow.
I'm forgetting how that was, but it was all like a blur. So
I bet.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah, she pushed me to do it
and sing the song that you sang to her on your wedding.
Yes. So the American Idol is it's not what you think it is. So you have to go through 3 judges before you even get to the main stage.
Okay.
So I had to sing 3 different times. So I didn't know that until I got there. They says, well, you need 3 songs. It's like, what? So in my head, I'm like, okay, in order to get past the first judges, what should I sing? And then the second judge might be more strict. So I need to have a better song that shows some range.
Sure.
So yeah, I did The Crazy Love, and then I also did The Temptations, but I didn't make it past that part.
Okay.
There is a lot of talent. And I was like overwhelmed.
Sure.
And I'm more reserved, so I don't like people to look at me a certain way.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, in law enforcement, it's different. Like, my instincts take over, and I'm, like, on it. But for singing and stuff like that, because that's protection of others and making sure people are safe. But singing, I was just sitting there, like, looking around, like, dang, dude, how the heck you get that high? I'm like,
right.
Like, dang, girl, what are you doing? I'm just sitting there like, I don't belong here. I don't belong here.
Oh, sure.
But it was now that I look back, it was a great experience. I know that there's a lot of talent in this world. And even in just the Midwest, there's people that I was talking to that was like their 5th or 6th time going through it. They keep telling them how to, and they keep doing it. That's their passion, not mine.
Right.
I mean, my passion is singing, but not to go to those extents. Like, I'm not doing this 6, 7 times to try to make it.
Right.
I would probably find a gig somewhere in town, like start locally and start singing in establishments to build my repertoire. But
Yeah.
but no, I was like, oh, you guys are dedicated. I'm like, yeah, not me.
Well, and we were recently talking to a person who was like, yeah, I'm not a professional artist, but I live a creative life. And I do these creative things, and they're all part of that make me who I am. And I don't have to make money or make it my sole focus to enjoy it and to be my full self within it. You know, it's
Right.
I think there are these. In some ways, maybe I set you up for that. Like, you tried out for American Idol, but that there are these pinnacles of things that if you're not the apex or the number one, then it doesn't matter. I think
Right.
that hierarchically we put people on those standards for creativity and artistic endeavors and acting creatively. And if you can't make it or don't make it to that number one seat, then it doesn't matter. And like winning or not winning. And it's not that at all. It's about using and being and feeling all of those things and using them as motivators and just the joy that can come from creative living and the challenges.
Right. I think society has lied to us over and over and over about expectations in life or expectations of your talent. Because I'm not the greatest singer doesn't mean that I can't sing.
That's
because
right.
I'm not the greatest cook doesn't mean I can't cook.
That's right.
Just because I don't have the vocabulary as some of these individuals that are with doctorates and higher PhDs doesn't mean that I can't talk or that I'm not smart.
Absolutely.
And society has lied to us over and over that, well, you're not good enough.
Right. Yeah.
And that's where I have an issue sometimes. And when I was going through my master's program, I was overwhelmed. And I'm like, and I just use plain talk or I use this. I don't really use much of the big words. And I was acing my courses. And one of the professors was like, because I just felt not appreciated, but underachieving. And he was like, you don't have to use all those words. He's like, your audience 9 times out of 10 has a 3rd to 5th grade level of education. If you think about it, in law enforcement, when you're talking to people in the community, you have to meet them where they're at. And how you're speaking, anyone can understand what you're saying. When you start to use those big words and going over their heads, then you lose them. And that's not what you want. And that was like, thank you. At least someone is telling me that, because he's like, a lot of the other people in the classes, they're already, they're at not higher levels, but in their positions, they're speaking at higher levels. And some of them are trying to go to public speaking. And he's like, that's fine.
That's different. Yeah.
He's like, they can use all those big words, but people are going to question them. Like, what does this mean? What do you mean by that? He's like, but if you can articulate yourself in the beginning, so that you limit those questions, and now they can understand where you're coming from, you build more relationships.
Sure. Welcome back to In the Act. I am Erica Hunsinger. I think I say this is Erica Hunsinger a lot.
That's fine.
Not.
You do you.
Okay, thanks, buddy.
You do you.
And we're speaking with Santino Laster.
Hey.
So on the heels of what you were talking about, meeting people where they are seems to also be a theme that runs through, not just for yourself, but because it seems like you were very reflective in growing up and as an early adult, tuning into yourself, what you need, how you can do it, finding the support where you can, and really challenging yourself, finding people around you that love you and that you can meet them where they are as well. And you do that not just for your family, but you were talking about this master's program that you were in, and helping support the idea of meeting people where they are in your profession. And I see you doing that here at the library, but also you're doing it on in other community services, like through your church and stuff. And it's such a hard thing to do, to stop and be present with another person and to see them and recognize, do some assessments, basic assessments of you're trained, so like what they might need, how you can be present and with and for them and help. And I see that helping nature in you that is so important, and it's an art form to develop and create the connections that you have and to communicate that you're consistent, stable individual that can help. And that's a really big deal to have in this community, or any community. I mean, it's a really big deal.
I agree.
Yeah.
This is not, I don't know, it's not a learned behavior. I shouldn't say learned behavior, sorry. It is a learned behavior because you show gratitude and you gravitate towards those that you want to emulate growing up.
Did you have people that you wanted to emulate besides your mom? Like, were there other people that you were inspired by? And your father?
Yeah, my father was my best friend, so I wanted to be like him. He was a police officer before he went to truck driving. And then my high school coach was a police officer.
Interesting.
And then he went into the education field. So he was doing both. And so those guys inspired me to want to be a police officer.
Yeah.
So I had a brother that was a police officer as well and inspired me. So my things I wanted to be growing up was either police officer or military.
Oh.
Because I always wanted to protect. And that's, and even today, I want to protect. But now my mindset is I look at the whole totality of a situation, and I just don't rush in as the protector, but also I look at the other surrounding issues of how can I help this person. I can protect them, yes, but how do I set them up for success moving forward? Not giving them a fish to eat for a day, but how can I give them the opportunity to learn how to fish and to make a substantial living on their own. So how do you enrich them to be productive and not always looking for a handout?
Yeah.
And a lot of these individuals that I talk to here, I don't just talk about feeding them, but also educating them and wanting them to do right and get a job. And they have a lot of excuses, but at the same time, they're codependent on something. What is it? I mean, I'm not the person that can help them with that, but if they can help me understand what they're going through, I can point them in the right direction.
Right.
I had a young lady that I worked with this week. She came in. I saw her at Wendy's on Saturday. I worked with her in the jails, so I won't say no names or who she is, but I just say, hey, what's going on? She's like, I'm homeless, I do this. I'm like, this is God brought me here for a reason. I'm going to pray for you. I haven't seen her in church. And she's like, you're the only one that believed in me. I'm in the jail. You're the only one that treated me with respect. And you helped me keep my faith. And she just bawled. And I'm like, well, I am the co-chair of the Housing Coalition, so I know some people. And let me help you. But you need to come in to the library on Monday. so that I can. And she was here.
Wow.
And she wanted to help. And I'm a straight shooter with her. And she spoke about some of her addictions and her boyfriend. And I just explained that you're doing everything for him and not you. Mm-hmm. You have to love yourself. You have to love you in order to get better. Well, he needs me. I says, but you need you. Right. You can't grow. You can't love him unless you love yourself, because you don't even know what love is yet.
Right.
And I was telling her, I'm like, those addictions are bad. And I get it. We all have an addiction. Yeah. Some is candy, some is food, some is heroin, some is meth. Whatever it is, we all have our devices. And society tells us that one is worse than the other, but it really isn't. I mean, they have different effects, yes, but you have an addiction, and you need to understand how to overcome that so that you can be better. Yeah. And she was just bawling, and she's like, you always tell me the truth. And I'm like, I will. And I'm going to always tell you the truth because I love you and I want you to be a better person, and I need you to love you. Yeah. So you can get your kids back, so you can get your life on track. And it's not some one day you can take this, or you don't do this, you don't do that. It's a process, and that you have to stick with it. Right.
And you're carrying all those messages with you when you're connecting with people. Mm-hmm. All the love, all the training, all the everything to be present with that person. And, when you said you have to love yourself, that is such a hard thing to do. And I think we love ourselves sometimes more at times than other times, and have to also deal with our failures. And then how, I don't know where I learned this, but someone said at one point, we're all going to fail. Everybody fails. I know that part, but it's more about how you recover from those failures. Exactly. And what you do about those things that that you made a mistake on, that you created a really bad situation, or did something wrong, or failed yourself, or disappointed another person. And it's about that. How do you transform through that? And what do you do to make a difference for yourself?
That's key, because growing up, when you made a mistake, it was never, what did you learn from that? It was always, you're a failure, you did this, you can't get right, and that sticks with you. And that's what I had growing up, was that I was never good enough. I'm like, well, why would I do this if I'm going to get berated anyway? Right. So not having that love and affection was very detrimental to my growth.
Absolutely, sure.
And I wish that I had the love that we give our children, the consistency that we give.
Absolutely.
Which helps you grow, one, and it's a unified front. I never knew that failure was an option. I was always told it's not an option. You can't fail. Right. Because then it's a weakness. Well, no. How do you grow if you don't fail? Right. Right? I mean, even on tests, you don't do good on the test. So how do you know that you're not that good if you don't mess up, or if you don't get something wrong?
Absolutely.
Then you can understand and grow and learn.
Absolutely.
So it took me till I was in my 30s maybe to start appreciating that you're not perfect. You're nowhere near it. And in order for you to grow, you're going to have some pitfalls. Yeah. Now, my thing is it a 20,000 drop, or is it a 10,000 drop, 5,000, 200 feet? Yeah. And is there a trampoline at the bottom to bounce you back up? Like, absolutely. What is it? How are you going to react? Right. And that's in my last job at the hospital at Freighter. I made a lot of mistakes. Yeah. You didn't know it because they were minimal. Sure. And I made sure that they were minimal in how I responded and how I took care of things. It's like, oh, okay, well, you did this. You're right, sir, I did it. And that's not something that can continue to go forward. Right. I didn't know it. say, this is how we
Absolutely.
progress and move forward. It's like, don't keep making the same mistakes. That's where it becomes a problem.
Sure.
That's where the growth has to come in.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there's like, if you're not falling, isn't there like some skiing something or other? Like if you're not falling down, then you're not challenging yourself to know how to be better. And so part of that, I think, translates really well to life is that if you're not making mistakes, then you're not taking the risks that you need to take for yourself to develop the knowledge of how can it be different for me?
Right.
How can I progress, as you said? How can I explore this differently? And setting yourself up so that when you do fail, there is a trampoline at the bottom. You know, what does that mean? What is a trampoline? Is it the support of your wife? Is it the support of your friends or your family? Is it a certain person in the community? But knowing that when you do fail, that you're still going to be accepted and supported and loved.
Right.
And that's gosh, isn't that a stickler?
Yes. It's hard to grasp sometimes, but yeah. I mean, I have friends. I have a friend here in town. Won't say names. They have, I believe, 4 or 5 children. You wouldn't know that he's a millionaire. He teaches his kids, instills in them right and wrong, right? And he teaches them that just because I have money don't mean you have money.
Right.
How are you going to earn this? How are you going to do this? And that's one thing I see with when you look at social media or television. You see all these rich people have no cares in the world, but they also don't have an understanding.
Right.
Their mindsets are so clueless. They can't life. And I look at them, I'm like,
Did you just say they can't life?
yeah,
What a crazy thing to say. That's amazing. I really like that.
Right?
Yeah.
they're on their pedestal. They're up here. They don't understand down here. They think because they have the money, oh, I'm going to do this. No. Like if you didn't have it, how would you survive?
Right.
I'm going to tell you right now, if I went broke today, I know how I'm going to survive.
Right.
And I hope my kids know how to survive too. But that's what I'm saying. Like they don't know failure. Their failures are so minute,
Yeah.
so small that it won't cripple them.
Right. Yeah. Which is important.
Very important.
I mean, I think there was a study done in I think on trauma and PTSD and stuff from the Vietnam War, and that the study was that same 10 men have had the same went through the same battle, for example, but came out and 2 of the guys are sort of fine. But there are other guys who were not fine. And what is the difference? Because they all went through the same thing. And
Right.
it's where they were psychologically, physically, financially, all of those things prior to that happening. If their well was dry, right, psychologically, if they don't have the support, they're not going to be as good on the other side. You can't manage trauma or difficulty or challenges in the same way if you don't have that health of being. And so it's really important to find our trampolines.
Yes, it's very important.
Thank you, Santino.
You're welcome.
Would you be able to sing a tiny bit?
Look at me.
Well, I'm looking at you, John. What's a little bit? 10 seconds?
Sure.
All right. Let me figure out a song in my head.
Okay. Do. While this is happening, something.
All right. You ready?
Yeah.
That's not a song I know.
No. Nope.
All right.
It wasn't. It was filler. It's great filler, right?
Right? So this was a song I used to sing back at church. It's a little upbeat tempo. I'm always singing it because it just kind of gives me inspiration. It's very simple, very, very, very simple. Now you got me nervous. All right, here we go. I was thinking the other day about the joy that came my way. It took away my frown and those things that had me down. I thought about all those times when I was walking around in the days. But today I stand before you, Lord, with nothing but praise.
Beautiful.
Very simple. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Stop smiling. Do we got a break or something? It's getting hot in here.
Thank you for sharing that with us.
You're welcome.
Your whole journey of sharing all of what you did. I didn't know where our conversation was going to take us, and thank you for trusting us to share so much and to be so open and vulnerable. And that's really hard to do. And we really appreciate that, because I think in one of the hopes that I have for this show is that it, similarly to what you want for the people that you connect with, is that this show provides a platform for people to listen to and to open up to and to find new ways of seeing and thinking and understanding. And so I appreciate you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you guys. You guys make this very, very simple and easy. So,
Great.
Thank you.
So, Santino, if people wanted to contact you or get a hold of you, where would they do that?
Well, you can come into the Sheboygan Mead Library. I'm here Monday through Friday, also on Saturdays sometimes.
Sometimes Saturdays.
Sometimes Saturdays. Yeah, don't go swimming in the fountain. Please don't go swimming in the fountain. You can find me on Facebook, just Santino Laster. Also, if you need to reach out, the Black American Community Outreach here in Sheboygan. So it's Black-American and then Community Outreach. You can go to our Facebook page and drop a message if you need me.
Beautiful.
What else? Yeah, there's other things that I do, but just come into the library. I'm here. We can have a face-to-face conversation. I don't like talking over the phone. I like that intimate conversation so I can read the body language and feel that passion. So come on in. We got great resources here too.
Come on in.
Right. And then maybe you can drop in and have a conversation with this wonderful radio crew. Who knows?
That'd be great.
Plug in. Just plug in.
Thanks so much, Santino. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
In the Act is produced in the studios at Mead Public Library in Sheboygan, Wisconsin. More information on the web at meadpl.org.